Looks like 4 Terminator armies might be back on the menu. The Deathwing ones just got OBSEC. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where we've been taking a look at Games Workshop's previews for the Dark Angels Codex over the course of the week. Yesterday they showed us some nice special rules for the Ravenwing Bikers. They were all getting OBSEC, and it seems that they have indeed given the same rule to the Deathwing. These guys are going to be monstrously annoying to scrape off objectives. In addition, they also mentioned their Rites of Initiation to initiate other models into the Deathwing, and gave us a peek of a couple of stratagems as well. So first up, here we have the rules for the first company. This one's pretty much a carbon copy of those second company rules that we saw the other day. This time, unsurprisingly, it has to be a Vanguard detachment, the one with all the elites. It has to be entirely made up of Deathwing or Inner Circle units, which I think means that units like Black Knights wouldn't actually break this detachment, as I believe they have this keyword, and I don't think it's going to be removed in the new Codex. In any case, if this entire Vanguard detachment is entirely Deathwing or Inner Circle, then it gains the first company special rule, and you get your command points refunded if your Warlord is part of that detachment. Makes it far more viable as your primary detachment. You're not going to get command point penalised for fielding a full Deathwing army. Obviously the headline news is objective secured, Deathwing Terminator squads, regular Terminator squads, Terminator Assault squads and Relic Terminator squads in the detachment all gain the objective secured special rule as per the Warhammer 40k core book. It's very powerful, though it's not literally to everyone with Deathwing. A notable omission are the Deathwing Knights, who I guess are considered the elite of the elite even within the first company. And it's not just all infantry with Terminator armor, characters aren't included either, neither are Blade Guard veterans, despite gaining the Deathwing keyword as per Codex Space Marines. Basically the reason that this is so nasty is its combination with the Inner Circle special rule. At the moment, Deathwing Terminator squads can't be wounded on anything more than a 4+. It's basically transhuman physiology on them all the time, and it makes them ridiculously tough to shift. As basically you always want to be firing heavy weapons at Terminators, because small arms fire just really doesn't tend to do all that much against them. This honestly could make Terminators a real problem for many armies in 40k. Just within the standard Deathwing Terminator squad datasheet, you could have 38-point Terminators with Chain Fist and Stormbolter, or lose the range damage for even tougher Terminators in the more Assault Terminator pattern, taking Thunderhammers and Storm Shields for a 2-up save and a 4+ invul, or just going really cheap with a Terminator with Lightning Claws. To be honest, it doesn't really matter too much what you choose, they're all going to be really annoying to chew through. Provided they can survive on the midfield objectives, then they can hold it against enemies' elites, and even if your opponent has troops, you do have the potential to take their OBSEC away with one of those new psychic powers. I feel like the Deathwing army is going to be really hard to win against in terms of primary objectives. Moving on from this, they've shown us off a little bit more about their Rites of Initiation, though they still haven't really been very clear on what exactly it does. We saw this table in the latest raft of points updates, and basically this is a list of units that you can induct into the Deathwing in some way, and the points cost that it will cost you to do that. My guess is that this will give you the Deathwing and Inner Circle keywords, so you could fill them in that Vanguard detachment without breaking the OBSEC bonus. And in the Warhammer community article today, they did mention it would give your captains and lieutenants a lot more toughness, so it does imply that that's the case. The current Inner Circle rule as it stands means that it's only infantry that can be wounded on a 4+, it doesn't count on vehicles. You auto pass morale tests, and you have a chance of not being able to fall back if you want to fall back from combat. You have to roll off 2d6 against your leadership, and if you roll higher, you can't fall back. So to me at least it seems fairly clear what it's going to do on the characters, but it's a bit less clear what it actually will do on the vehicles. I'd be fairly surprised if they did change the Inner Circle from the Index to the Codex. They didn't do that with anything like the Blood Angels Death Company rules, so at present Inner Circle benefits wouldn't really do that much to the vehicles. They don't care about morale, and they don't get the benefit of only being able to be wounded on a 4+. I think they're very unlikely to get that benefit as well, seeing as the upgrade only costs 10 points for most of these huge vehicles. To be honest, it'd be a bit disappointing if it is literally just a keyword upgrade to allow them to be taken in that detachment. I don't think it would really incentivize you to bring Land Raiders or Repulsors for your Deathwing, if they're literally just the same as other chapters patterns, but cost you 10 points more for the privilege of taking them. I guess this is just one that we're going to have to wait and see until we have the full details for the Codex. Next up, they've previewed a couple of Deathwing appropriate stratagems, the first one being the reimagination of the Deathwing Assault special rule. In the previous Dark Angels Codex, this was either 2 or 3 command points to allow them to shoot again in the movement phase, but now it's only 1 CP, and instead of being shooting again, you just get a nice +1 to wound on your ranged weapons on the turn that they come in. A big squad of Deathwing could actually do a really decent amount of shooting on the turn they come in, particularly if in combination with things like captains or lieutenants, and maybe using the fury of the first stratagem as well to give them +1 to hit too. Theoretically, 10 Stormbolters from a Deathwing Terminator squad could be killing around 7 or 8 intercessors with +1 to hit and wound and some captain and lieutenant rerolls, which really isn't too bad for anti-horde shooting on a primarily melee unit. Obviously they'll be far more effective against things like hordes, and if you are going down that strategy, you could even think about throwing in some cyclone missile launchers in there, which could make some very good use of this stack of buffs. I'd say it's a fairly solid shooting buff, and will be quite tempting to pile on a few extra wounds when your Deathwing arrive. The next one for 2 CP is a buff to Deathwing Knights in close combat. It's called No Foe Too Great to Subdue, and it gives you +1 to wound and +1 AP when you're fighting against a monster or vehicle. For me, I think that this will be worth it if you're fighting against a really big foe, something very enormous that you want to put down as soon as possible, such as maybe some big Tyranid monstrosity or an Imperial Knight. Often though, I think if you're just fighting against regular vehicles, it might well just be overkill. There's no real point in spending 2 CP if your Maces of Absolution were going to crunch the vehicle anyway. I'd say it's a nice to have, and if you absolutely need to make sure that something dies in combat, it's really good to have in your back pocket, though I don't think the Deathwing Knights would be using it in every single game. So that's it for the previews so far. I was a bit disappointed they didn't decide to show off the Deathwing unique assault doctrine. The Raven Wing have their extra movement and advancing and shooting. The Green Wing have some shooting in close combat with rapid fire and assault weapons. So it stands to reason the Deathwing are getting their own assault doctrine. I'm really interested to see what that one will be. Maybe it'll be a straight damage buff, or maybe something to help them out with charges out of Deep Strike. I think a big stratagem that Dark Angels players will be really wanting to keep is the Combined Assault stratagem, which we don't know for 100% is in the new decks. It was really quite a nice, fun and fluffy stratagem, with the Deathwing coming down next to the Raven Wing and getting a very short charge as a result. If that's gone, it'll be a bit disappointing, and it won't be quite as easy to get Deathwing Terminators in melee. Finally, I think it will be interesting to examine the Inner Circle and Deathwing keywords in the new Codex. Currently, the book Terminator patterns such as Relic Terminators and Blade Guard Veterans do have the Deathwing keyword, but don't have the Inner Circle keyword. This means they don't get the very nice benefit of only being able to be wounded on 4+, and I'm genuinely uncertain whether or not the new book is going to give it to them. If they do get it, then Blade Guard Veterans are going to be monstrously scary, and even without Auspex, I think that they'd be well worth running in Dark Angels lists. So let me know your thoughts on the new Auspex Deathwing. Are they a bit much, or just what the Deathwing needs to return as a full viable army list? I'll most certainly be looking to cover the Dark Angels Codex, which will be out this weekend, so feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to see more, or just check back later for more 40k videos. Finally, if you have been enjoying my channel and you'd like to help keep these videos coming, I would just like to mention that the channel has a Patreon page, which you can find down in the video description below. Making all these YouTube videos does take a fair amount of time, so if you are enjoying regularly, any support is massively appreciated. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages. They get to see new videos earlier than everyone else. There's regular votes to see what sort of things happen next, and also automatic entry to the Auspex Tactics giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support the channel, then the link is down in the video description below. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.